Hello beautifuls, my name is Bo Yi, mentor for survivors of child sexual abuse and founder of IBelieveInLoveAgain.com. I am dedicating this video to every single survivor of abuse out there. I don't care what kind of abuse. You know, abuse is abuse, pain is pain. I'm sorry you went through that, but I just want to let you know that complete 100% healing is possible. It's completely possible. I am not exaggerating one bit. I'm not just saying it to like give you false hope. I am a living testimony and I want to share with you my story. Some of you have heard parts and pieces. Is that how you say it? Pieces, parts, and anyway, you know, pieces of my story here and there. But this is a more comprehensive version of my testimonial, and I am so happy and blessed to share with you today. I want to dedicate this video to all the abuse out there, especially to a new follower I have on Instagram. You know who you are. We both love alpacas, llamas, pigs, and ducklings. We love so many animals. So this is for you, sweetheart. I love you so much. Okay, so let's see. I was born in Sacramento, California. I am Chinese. Both my parents are Chinese. I'm 100% Chinese. My parents, they were both born in Vietnam. And they came here separately. Like they met here in Sacramento and they got married here. They had me in 1988. So yeah, do the math. I'm 32 now. Yeah. So they had me in 1988, and then in 1993 they had my little brother. He is 5 years younger than me. Okay, so I just have that one other sibling with the same parents. I have a half brother as well. He's amazing. We have the same dad, and I have step siblings. But anyway, growing up, I grew up with my little brother only, just that one brother. Okay, my parents, they had a rocky marriage. Very, very rocky. I won't go into that too much. You know, that's their story. However, I'm so proud of, you know, well, anyway, oh, how do I even, there's so much to the story. My mom, she eventually passed away, which is the later part of my story. So I'll just say that now. She did pass away. I'm really proud of my dad. He is like a transformed man. He is so sweet. He is so giving, so loving. He does so much for me and my brothers, and wow. So anyway, it's just amazing to see how much people can change over the years. So I would just leave it at that. They had a rocky marriage. They did get divorced. They split up when I was in the 4th grade. So I was about 10. So my mom, she took me and my little brother, moved us to Davis. She was a single mom, a hairdresser, trying to raise, you know, me and my brother. And it wasn't easy for her. We had a babysitter. She was so nice. My awesome babysitter, Chris, and I will never forget her. And she was great. And then my mom, she remarried a couple years later to my stepdad. So then we moved into my stepdad's home, and he lived in North Highlands, which is a suburb of Sacramento. So pretty much we moved back to Sacramento. And by the way, this whole time my mom didn't have contact with our dad. She kind of cut contact with him. Anyway, that was her decision. And so, yeah, that's what happened. And anyway, moving in with my stepdad, that was when my life became a living nightmare. We didn't know it at the time, but he was a serial pedophile. He had already married 5 different women before my mom. We did not know this. He was an expert manipulator. He had destroyed so many families before ours. So my mom was, you know, technically the 6th wife. And at first she was like in this whole honeymoon phase with him. Like everything seemed so perfect. He seemed like the perfect husband, the perfect stepfather, the perfect man. Like people really loved him, respected him in the community. My mom, you know, we just really thought she scored, you know. However, like he started grooming me and my little brother. He didn't abuse my brother sexually. He abused my brother in different ways, but with me he did sexually abused me. It escalated into molestation and eventually into childhood rape. It's a long story, but from the beginning, when he first married my mom, he knew he was marrying my mom because he wanted me. He revealed that to me later. He didn't marry my mom for my mom. He was a really sick human being, and he literally married her because he wanted to have me, he said. He told me that he actually met me when I was 5 years old at a candy machine, one of his candy machines. He had this vending machine business with candies and toys. Super creepy, right? And he met me when I was 5, and he knew that he wanted me when I was 5 years old. But anyway, when he married my mom, we moved in. I was 10 or 11, and that's when he started to abuse me. And he started brainwashing my brother and I to hate our mother, told us that she was a bad mother, that he saved us from her, you know, like he saved us from a bad mother, she was poor, she didn't take good care of us. Like he would say this to us over and over and over again, and just tell us that he was a way better parent, which is super weird. But eventually we grew to believe him, and he just brainwashed us to the point where we literally didn't trust our mom anymore. Like he would gaslight my mom all the time, and literally drive her crazy. He would spoil me with different things, and you know, like one time I came home with a whole bunch of winter clothes, and my mom was like, you know, she knew something was wrong, she knew something was off, you know, but she couldn't verbalize, you know, how she really felt. And she knew that she was losing power. Like he was really gaining power over me and my brother. We were believing him, not her. But anyway, when we came home from that shopping spree and I had all these clothes, bags of clothes, my mom was like, why are you spoiling my daughter? Like, what are you doing? And my stepdad said, what are you talking about? You just bought yourself a $200 jacket. And my mom was furious. She went and took that jacket, brought it out into the kitchen. She started cutting up her brand new leather jacket with like a pair of kitchen scissors. And then she took a butcher knife from a drawer in the kitchen and started slamming that knife down on her arm. It was freaking crazy. And I think it must have been like the blunt end of the blade, because I don't know how it didn't cut through her arm, but it didn't. But she was like going like full force onto her forearm. And then my stepdad went over and like they're like wrestling over that knife, and he got it away from her. And then like she went into the bathroom, just cried and cried. And guess what? My stepdad called CPS. He called CPS, Child Protective Services, on my mom. Trying to say, look, she's a crazy mom, she's mentally ill, and I don't know what's wrong with her, and she's a bad mom. And so the thing was, he, like I said, had destroyed so many families before. He just knew how to work the system. So multiple times he would call CPS on my mom, trying to make her look bad. And you know, English, you know, that was her second language. You know, she just didn't know a lot of the ways here, and she didn't know the laws. And eventually my stepdad fought for guardianship of me and my little brother, and then later on he fought for adoption of me and my little brother, and he won. He was able to convince the courts that he was a great father, and that my mom was, you know, crazy, or she's a bad mom. She wasn't a bad mom. Like he literally brainwashed me and my little brother to hate her, to not trust her, and he kicked her out of our house. He kicked our own mom out of our house. And when she was kicked out of our house, it was only like I don't know, a year and a half or 2 years after their marriage. It was like not long after their marriage, you know, it just fell apart. She wasn't there anymore, and then he had full reign to molest me, to rape me, and all of that. It was just horrible. And so, yeah, and like he had this whole internal like judicial system where he would allow her to come and visit us, but she would have to pay him $600 or $700 cash a month, and she barely made any money. She was a hairdresser, not making a lot, and she would pay him and come visit us whenever he allowed her to. And on top of that, he would force her to give him a haircut. Like, how degrading is that? That is so crazy. Anyway, he unfortunately did win adoption of us and all of that. And, you know, we were trained to lie on his behalf and just tell the whole world that he was a great father. And we really were brainwashed to think he was a good father. You know, I was, you know, in order to survive abuse, you know, severe abuse like that, like survivors typically dissociate hardcore, like they dissociate like crazy in order to survive, in order to function, in order to, like, you know, go to school and just try to do regular things and try to act normal. But I dissociated like crazy. Like when I was at school, I was happy. I just focused on my arts, my ballet, you know, whatever. And then when I went home, I just didn't know what would happen. Like I just did not know if he would be in a good mood or a bad mood. But just to paint a picture of the worst part of the abuse, the worst part of the abuse for me was when he would when he would ask me to initiate the abuse. He would ask me to initiate sex, and he would try to get me to do that, and I just would refuse to, and he would get really frustrated. So after like 2-3 days, he actually did have a health issue. He had hepatitis C, and when he would get stressed out, he would literally hemorrhage. His liver would hemorrhage, and he would cough up blood, tons of blood. And when this would happen, my brother and I, we would go and grab the towels and grab a bucket and grab ice his liver, and, like, you know, pat his mouth and try to get the blood off of his, you know, face. And then eventually he would settle down and stop bleeding. But literally all these times that this happened, I literally thought he was gonna die. Like he would just bleed, and like his eyes would kind of like roll back, and it just looked like he was dying. And this whole time he was going through this crazy ordeal, he would look me in the eyes and say, "You did this. You did this to me. You are selfish. All I ask you is to do one thing, and you can't even do that one thing." Like he literally would say that. And he was referring to the fact that I wasn't taking care of his needs. He would say, "I do everything for you. I get you ballet lessons, piano lessons. I put you in a good school, and I help you with this and that, and I've raised you, and blah, blah, blah. And you can't even do one thing. You can't just do one thing and take care of my needs. How selfish of you. You are cold-hearted. You are the worst daughter in the world." And just go on and on and on and on for hours. And I would just be bawling my eyes out and cry and cry and cry. And eventually I would get to the point of just beg, like literally beg for forgiveness. I would just say, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, I don't understand. Like if I'm the worst daughter in the world, then why did you adopt me? I'm not even your real daughter. Why did you adopt me?" And he would respond with a very manipulative statement. He would say, "Well, I can't choose who I love. I just love you." And then that would make me feel a million times worse, because then, you know, like, because I was a child, right? So I would think, okay, wait a second. I caused him to bleed and hemorrhage. Okay, obviously I'm a bad daughter, and I can't just satisfy his needs as a man, like he's saying. Super easy to do. Why can't I just do that? And he loves me. Wow, he loves me. He's a good dad. He loves me, and I'm selfish, and I'm a horrible daughter. Oh my gosh, I caused all of this. I caused all his pain. I caused all of his medical issues, his health problems. He's like dying. Like I could have killed him just now. And I would feel immense guilt, like you can't believe, right? And then I would say, "Well, what can I do to like make it up to you? I don't know. I'm just so sorry," right? Because he would always tell me, "Sorry is not enough." Sorry is not enough. You can't just say sorry. Are you kidding me? Like, you can't just say sorry. Sorry, you know, those are just words. You have to show me you're sorry with your actions. And so then after that, he would demand me to perform a sensual dance for him. And this was the worst part of my abuse, because I am a ballerina. I am a ballerina, and I've been a ballerina since I was a little girl. And he would instruct me to put on lingerie and put on his favorite perfume, Rapture by Victoria's Secret. And he would have me put on makeup and do my hair and the whole, you know, everything, all of that. And then I would it was so weird, but I would play like a Celine Dion song, like she had some sensual songs, or anyway, I would play a Celine Dion song, and then I would start performing a dance for him, and he would literally take me to his room before the song was even over, because he would get all like aroused, and he would take me to his room and proceed to rape me. And I would just like, you know, check out, just like dissociate, just cry my silent tears, and then it would be over, and then this cycle would just repeat itself over and over and over again, like in, you know, throughout my childhood years. And it was just a lot, you know. That was the most painful part of my past, and it happened many times because he kept wanting me to initiate sex, and I wouldn't. And I didn't see a way out of this situation because he wanted to marry me. He said he wanted to marry me. Yeah, and it was weird because he told me that, you know what, no one's gonna even think anything of it because you're Asian and people can't tell how old an Asian woman is. So it's fine. Like, you know, I want to marry you. That way you can take care of me for the rest of your life, you know. And I just didn't see a way out. Like, my mom wasn't, you know, my whole family, they weren't in the picture. I didn't have any like super close friends at all. Like, if anyone got too close, he would make sure to cut them out of my life. You know, I just didn't get too close with anyone. Like, and the reason why he got away with this for so long was because he really, really brainwashed me and told me the reason why he was doing what he was doing. He gave me several reasons. One reason was, he said when he was young, when he was a little boy, there was like a neighborhood woman that would teach him, he would say, teach him about the reproductive system and sex and this and that. And he was so grateful for her because she taught him these things. And, you know, he was provided this education, and that's all he's doing for me. And the second thing he said, oh, this is normal. This is totally normal in Europe. You know, in Europe, you'll see nude people on the billboards. Like, they have no weird hang-ups about nudity and sex. And, you know, it's only here in America where it's still like illegal. And so here, you know, if we tell anyone, I'll get arrested. No one will take care of you. No one will take care of you. You'll be on the streets and stuff like that. Oh, and the third thing he would say to me, and also, you're very talented, you're very gifted in ballet and piano, and if, you know, he would say, when you hit puberty, you're gonna go boy crazy, and you're gonna ruin your whole career in dance and music and art because you're gonna go boy crazy. So what I'm doing is I'm actually protecting you. I'm protecting you from having multiple partners, and you can just have me as a, you know. So he would say all these weird things. And I just remember like hating all of that and just telling him, like, as a little girl, it was just crazy. I would literally try to convince him and say, you know, can we like just be normal, like daddy, daughter, like, you know, I'm fine. Like, I don't need that. Like, it was really hard for me to ever speak up, because if I did try to speak up, he would get really angry, very like intensely angry, and like, you know, just punish me in different ways. And he was my only parental figure at the time, you know. So I had to like be very careful how I approach things with him. And I would sometimes try to say, hey, can we just, it's all, you know, I know you said I'm gonna hit puberty one day, but you know, I'm good, I'm fine. I can focus on my ballet and studies, I'll be fine. And he would say, when you were little, do you remember what you said? I asked you, do you love me? What did you say to me when you were a little girl? And I said, well, of course I love you. Of course I love you. Yes, I said I loved you. And he said, well, you can't take that back. You can't take that back. You are a liar if you say you love me and you can't even help satisfy my needs as a man. So he would twist again that word love, right? And so again, I would feel all guilty and be, oh, never mind, I'm so sorry, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Yes, of course I love you, and okay, fine, I'll just go with it, right? So he would say that a lot. He would throw that in my face. And another thing he would say all the time was, there's no such thing as God, there's no such thing as family, there's no such thing as friends, and there's no such thing as romantic love like you see in the movies. He would say that all the time, and he would really emphasize there's no such thing as romantic love. It's only in the movies. He would say it's only in the movies. And I know why now, like he said that. You know, he said that to kill like any ounce of hope I had of getting away, you know, of having true love with like, you know, a husband, or like that wasn't even anything that crossed my mind. Like I never, you know, let myself get too far into fantasizing about having a boyfriend or a husband. Like he just like killed my dream with that when I was a little girl. He just said there's no such thing as God, family, friends, or romantic love. That's a fairy tale. That's not true. And that's why that's the name of my website now. I believe in love again, because it is true. He completely lied to me, right? So anyway, finally, you know, oh my gosh, there's a lot of other things that happened within those years, but it wasn't until the age of 19 that I ran away from home. And the only reason I had the courage to do so was because I thought he was going to kill me. At age 19, that was when I actually kind of like snuck out sometimes here and there, and you know, behind his back, and I got myself a boyfriend, you know, and my stepdad found out, and he was pissed. I mean, he was irate, right? He said if I had a gun right now, I'd shoot you and shoot myself. That's what he said when he found out about my boyfriend at the time. And then he left the house for hours, and this was very unusual behavior for him, so I didn't want to risk it and, you know, come home with a gun. And so I left. That's when I left, and I ended up moving in with that boyfriend and this and that. But anyway, age 19 was when I ran away. And like I said, I didn't go through just the sexual abuse. There was, of course, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse, a little bit of physical abuse. Like, I mean, he never like severely physically abused me, but like, a few times he like slapped me or hit me a few times. There was an immense amount of financial abuse though. He had my brother and I work all these businesses for him, like that vending machine business I told you about. Every weekend, we didn't have like a normal childhood. Every single weekend we would have to work these routes for him in Sacramento and in the Bay Area, go and service all these toy machines and candy machines, deal with all the owners. I mean, I was like, you know, this was when I first had like my permit or something and I could drive. Like, I think I was like 16 and a half back then. But anyway, when the laws were different, and I would service these machines and bring home, you know, thousands of dollars in quarters. And my little brother and I, we didn't get a penny of that. And later on, I got my own first job at In-N-Out Burger, like super excited. And he would take every single paycheck and just say, well, you guys are expensive, so you owe me. And so gave him all my money with that. He forced me to go to UC Davis. It was kind of weird. I did not want to go. Like, I had no part of me wanted to go to UC Davis. I didn't want to go to college. I like just wanted to like die. Like, by this time, you know, I was 19 and I was still going through that abuse at home. I couldn't focus in college, you know, like my mind, I was just really starting to go downhill. But he wanted me to go to college because he was ex-Navy. His dependents, which were me and my little brother, we would get an educational stipend for going to college. And so he wanted me to go to college so that he could take my like $800-900 check every month and put that in his pocket. So during those years, I just learned that I had no worth. I had no worth physically, you know, mentally. I wasn't allowed to have my own thoughts. I couldn't make my own decisions. You know, I had to go through him for everything. And financially, didn't matter if I made my own money, I had to give it to him. So abuse on many levels. Okay, ran away at 19, and in my 20s, okay, throughout all my 20s essentially, I got really wrapped up in the whole new age world. I got really into the law of attraction, the occult world, and what else? Oh, yoga. I became a yoga teacher, a Reiki practitioner. I got into Vipassana meditation. I took a few retreats, these, you know, 10-day silent meditations. I went to a couple of those. I started teaching Vipassana meditation. I taught yoga for many years at many different studios, gyms, Even at a college, I assisted another teacher teaching at a college. I would teach privately for like this Indian dance school. I did things there. I taught even at school settings, at elementary schools. I did an after school program, taught yoga to the children. So I was like really, really involved in teaching yoga. And like I said, I lived at this ashram. I lived at an ashram that practiced integral yoga by the mother and Sri Aurobindo. So the mother is someone they call, they give that name to her. Her real name is Mira Alfasa, and they would call her the mother, which is kind of creepy. But anyway, I got really sucked into that cult as well. I just thought I was living this spiritual life, and it was just so enticing to me, this whole thought of healing myself by myself, being a goddess. I got into tantra yoga and sexology and all that kind of stuff. Started using jade eggs and taught women to use jade eggs. Got really into like nature, this whole idea of like children of the sun. I'm a child of the sun, and I worship the sun and worship nature. Became a vegan, hardcore vegan, and idolize veganism, idolize health. And so I really just went down that rabbit hole thinking that this was like the best thing ever. And I taught everyone around me, shared this with everyone around me. And back then I still had this YouTube video. So I gained a momentum of followers, and I guided a lot of people in that direction. And I threw these enlightenment parties like once or twice a year and made a whole shebang of that to teach people that they were goddesses and gods, and they can create their own lives, and there's no such thing as an external God like Jesus, and you don't need a Lord and Savior. I mean, literally in the middle of my Reiki sessions with people, I would tell my clients that they didn't need Jesus, like just for no reason, like out of nowhere. Like I didn't grow up in Christianity, like I wasn't even exposed to it very much. I didn't know the life of Jesus, but for some reason I just knew that everything I was doing was the opposite of Jesus. I somehow kind of knew that, and because I kind of knew that, I just hated the idea of Christianity. I didn't like Christians. I didn't like the idea of Jesus. And so yeah, during my Reiki sessions, I would literally tell people like, you don't need Jesus. I would try to talk my Christian clients out of, I don't know why they were even, trying to get sessions from me, but that's another thing too. A lot of new age ideals are creeping into the church, and that's very dangerous. That can be for another video. But I just thought I was really all powerful back then, because when I was doing the Reiki and everything, I really was tapping into the spiritual world, not realizing I was tapping into very dark forces. I didn't realize that's what it really was. It was demonic in nature. But I just thought, I can feel their pain in my hands, I can feel their pain in my body. I had a client in Ohio, right? I had never met the guy yet, and he didn't tell me his medical history, where his pain was at. And I was working on his body, working through his chakras and everything, and I could feel excruciating pain in my hips, like nerve pain, like shooting up into my hips. And I asked the guy, I was like, do you have pain in your hips? And he said, oh my gosh, I do. Like, how do you know? And I said, I can feel it. Like, I can feel it right now. And so just things like that would happen. And then I would do the Reiki on them, and they would say, I think I feel better, or I feel more relaxed, I feel better. And so I really thought, I'm healing these people. I'm healing them, and this is working. I can feel their bodies, and these are people like thousands of miles away, around the world, like on the other side of the world. I worked with so many clients, people from other countries, and eventually it got to my ego. I really thought, wow, I'm a healer. I'm a goddess. I created this universe. My own universe. I created it. I didn't give glory to God. I didn't believe in God. I believed in myself. And anyway, what happened? Let's see here. I got into shamanism. I checked out the Supreme Master. I used to pray to all sorts of different entities. I even got into, Bhakti yoga, where they chant Hare Krishna and all that. Buddhism, different forms of Buddhism, and practice their chants. I mean, I got into all of that. Okay, I used to meditate for 2 hours a day consistently, you know, do all my yoga poses, this and that, you know, my headstands, and just, I was really into it. I was really into it. I had a whole crystal collection, you know, had my tarot cards, did my readings. I was deep into the New Age world, the occult, all of that. I got into I Ching, astrology, like you name it, numerology. I was into all of that. Okay, I was connected to people in those worlds, and I featured them on my channel. Like, I just was so mesmerized by it. I thought this was spirituality. It was so spiritual, and I thought it was so awesome. At age 28, my mom, she attempted suicide twice in 1 month. Oh my gosh. The second time she committed suicide, this was when I was 28, so 4 years ago. The second attempt, I walked in on her and I saw her suicide attempt before my very eyes. It was crazy. It was, I mean, beyond traumatizing. This was like the most devastating thing that ever happened to me in my whole life. This was my mom, you know? And the crazy thing was, this was when I was like really deep into the New Age. You know, my ego was so big that when she attempted suicide the first time, it put her into like a 5-day coma. You know, she was in Utah, and so I flew from California to Utah to be with her. And the whole time I was like, oh my gosh, like the universe sent me to Utah to help heal my mom, of course, because, you know, I'm a healer. So I would do Reiki on her every day, thinking that the universe sent me to my mom to heal her because she needed me. Like, that's how prideful I was. I really thought like the whole world revolved around me, right? And so anyway, she got out of her coma, and I thought, oh yay, you know, pat myself on the back, like I did that. No, I didn't. Okay, and then like a few weeks later, I witnessed her attempt suicide before my very eyes. My gosh, that image took a long time for me to get out of my mind. I needed therapy to help me with that, that's for sure. And anyways, I did have this opportunity to talk with her before she passed away about 3 days later. You know, again, this whole time I thought I was there to help her. So after she tried to commit suicide, that second time I did call for help, and she was transported to the hospital. She was in ICU. She had taken a whole bunch of pills and stuff like that. But the thing was, her organs started to fail and stuff. And I was with her, and I really wanted to talk to her about my past. Like, we never actually really talked about our past and all the abuse I went through. And I really wanted to talk to her about that. Oh, by the way, after I ran away at 19, a criminal case did start against my stepfather, and it took about 2 years, and he did go to prison. He was sentenced to like 28 years or 27 years, something like that, but he did pass away not that long after, like 4 years after, so he wasn't in prison for very long. He passed away. Anyways, fast forwarding to talking to my mom in the hospital, right? I really was like, I was at her bedside, her hospital bedside, and just wanting to talk to her, wanting to bring up the past, but I didn't know how to start. And she could sense I was trying to get something out, and she just said, it's okay, Bowie, like, just put your head on my lap, it's okay. And like, I just started bawling my eyes out. There were no words, like there was nothing I could say. I thought I wanted to say something, but I couldn't say anything. All I knew was I wanted my mom. Like, I just wanted my mom. And she knew that. And that's why she said, just put your head on my lap. And I did. And I just laid on her lap, and I just started bawling my eyes out. And she just like caressed me and, like, you know, caressed my hair. And I just cried and cried and cried. And she, you know, and that was like the first moment I ever had in my adult life where I felt really connected to her, or even as a child. Like, that was like our deepest moment in my whole life I've ever had with her. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And then that was the moment I realized the universe didn't send me out here to heal my mom. I was sent out here because I needed my mom. I needed my mom's love and her healing, you know, presence. I needed her. I needed her to be a mom to me, and just, you know, like completely surrendered to that. And just admit that, you know. And so that was very healing. And it wasn't long right after that moment she passed away. So that was very, very tragic, because that was like the last moment I had before death, but I am very grateful I got to have that moment with her before she passed away. And something to add there, she was actually a Christian. She became a Christian, I don't know, maybe like 10 years before she passed away. Like, I'm not exactly sure because I never really talked to her about that, but she was a Christian for a while. And I remember before she died, when the nurse came into the hospital room, the nurse asked my mom, like, what's your religion or what's your faith, you know, to put in case she dies, you know, on her death certificate. And my mom said, I'm a Christian. And I just remember I was so shocked when my mom said that she was a Christian in front of me, because my mom knew, like, anytime she spoke up and said that she was a Christian, I would just try to like crush my mom with that and be like, Mom, you don't need a crutch. Mom, you don't need a crutch. Come on. Like, but this time, you know, she said it again. She didn't care that I was in the room. She said, I'm a Christian. And of course I didn't say anything, you know, like she's dying, you know, I was like, I'm going to hold my tongue. I'm not going to say anything right now. I just want to be with my mom, and I hope she makes it. You know, she didn't make it. She didn't make it. And I do believe with all my heart, she's up there with, you know, our Heavenly Father. You know, she did attempt suicide, but she didn't die by suicide. Like, God wouldn't let her go. You know, she kept coming back to life. And then, you know, it took about 3 days for her organs to fail, you know, and then eventually she passed away. But in that time, you know, she talked to the Lord, you know, she had another chance to get right with the Lord. And in that moment, you know, because we all make mistakes, we all sin, we're all sinners. And even in the midst of the worst sin, you know, if we repent before we pass away, we can be with our Heavenly Father. We just have to have faith. We got to repent. Anyway, that happened at age 28. And then after her suicide, eventually I found my way back to that ashram I was living at, practicing integral yoga by the mother and Sri Aurobindo. And I really was at the height of my life. I really thought I was at the pinnacle of my life. I was so healthy, super vegan, you know, doing my lemon enemas all the time. I had a new boyfriend at the time, you know, who I really was like infatuated at that time. I had friends, you know, a lot of followers on YouTube, and I was coaching people. So I just thought I had the perfect life, and I was living at this ashram, so I didn't have to worry about money or food or shelter. And it was a beautiful, beautiful ashram too, just gorgeous, just, you know, $1 million property, just gorgeous property. You know, it was like living at a retreat center or something. And so I thought this is the perfect life. However, when I was living at that ashram, that was when I had the craziest experience of my life that brought me to Jesus. So what happened was, for 3 days in a row, I was attacked demonically, literally like around 2 p.m., like on the dot, like for some odd reason. But every afternoon for 3 days in a row, I was attacked. And at this time in my life, like I never took naps. I just had so much energy. And so around 2 in the afternoon, I would just feel utterly exhausted out of nowhere. And I would go up into my balcony room and just collapse on my bed. And in the midst of, you know, just being in this weird realm, this demon would come upon me and tell me to kill myself. And oh my gosh, it was beyond scary because like I really, to be honest, didn't really believe in demons before this point. I was like, oh, whatever, I don't know. Like that seems like Hollywood stuff, you know? But until I experienced it, and I was like, okay, I know this is not my thought. Like this is the best time of my life, and why would I want to kill myself? That makes no sense. But this demon was telling me to kill myself, and I felt so helpless and hopeless. And I was like, whoa, my Reiki powers are like not coming in handy right now at all. I knew my Reiki powers had no authority over this demon. And I was, oh my gosh, it happened day after day. The second day was very interesting because after I was demonically attacked, I picked up this book, this dusty book from my closet. It was actually my Coda book when I was in Codependence Anonymous. It was a thick book, a blue one that I never really read because I quit that 12-step group because I was like, I don't believe in God, so I'm not going to surrender to God, which was like step 2. So anyway, I had the book, and for some random reason, I went into my closet to grab that particular book, opened it to a random page. Okay, it's a thick book. Opened it to a random page, and it landed on step 2. Surrender to God. That's what it said right before my eyes. It said surrender to God. And I was like, nope. I was like, nope, not gonna do that. I still want to be my own goddess. Okay, so that was day 2. Day 3 came along. Again, I was being attacked, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so scary. Like, I'm considering this. I'm considering like killing myself. Like, this is so crazy. Like, if there's like a gun right there, something easy for me to just kill myself, like I would have just done it. And so thank God nothing like that was available. And I was thinking about my YouTube audience, my friends, my family, my boyfriend at this time. I was like, none of them, I don't know, like none of them had the power to save me. Like, none of them had the power to save me. Like, I felt like I cared about them, but not enough to want to stay here on earth for them. And I thought to myself, I prayed to everyone, like every like deity entity out there that I knew of, you know, like I prayed to the universe, the mother, Sri Aurobindo, Ganesh, Buddha, you know, Krishna, the Supreme Master, Master Shah, the rocks, the moon, the stars, you know, like who's left? Like, who's left? And I thought, oh, I've never prayed to Jesus. I've never prayed to Jesus. Oh my gosh. And so it was, I'll admit it was kind of like a last resort kind of thing, because I was kind of desperate, and he was the only one I never prayed to. And so I simply just like kind of like whimpered out his name. I was like, because I didn't know how to pray. I didn't know how to pray to Jesus. And I just said, Jesus, and whoosh, immediately that demon just left. It left, and instantly, like this peace just came through my body and the whole room instantly. And I felt so overwhelmed. I just felt so overwhelmed by this peace. I never felt this peace in my whole life. It's really hard to explain unless you felt it before, but it's like a blanket of overwhelming peace. Yeah, it was crazy, and it was so easy. Like, all I did was say his name, and that demon vanished. And I literally chuckled at myself. I literally was like, whoa, like that was easy. And I chuckled at myself because boom, instantly I knew Jesus was real. Like, I could feel his presence. I was like, I know he's real. Okay. And number 2, I was like, why did it take me so long to finally surrender? You know, I was like, geez, I was stubborn, right? And a month later, I got baptized. All my friends and family, like, they were shocked beyond measure, right? Because before this crazy miracle, I was super into the new age world, you know, running around the world, you know, meditating, standing on my head, you know, trying to be all spiritual, and wearing crop tops, no bra, you know, just really hippie-ish, you know, very gypsy-like, just like traveling all around the world. I moved like over 40 times, you know, minimalist. I was a minimalist, and just pack up and leave whenever I felt like it. You know, I was a very free spirit. There's nothing wrong with being, you know, free-spirited. You can be a free-spirited Christian too and all that. But what I mean is, I was just very much a hippie, very much a new ager, very anti-Christian, anti-Jesus. And yeah, so when I texted my friends and was like, hey, you're invited to my baptism, they were like, excuse me? Like, excuse me? Is this the Bowie I know? But anyway, yeah. So, and you know, another thing I want to point out is I literally thought I was the only new ager in the whole world that came to Christ, because like in the new age world, by the way, when I announced to the ashram that I became a Christian, they kicked me out within 30 days in a very, you know, kind manner, in that you have 30 days to leave. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought you guys accept all faiths here. Apparently not. Okay. So, you know, things started to open up for me, like before my very eyes, because when I was into that whole like coexist world, the yoga world and the new age world, I would say out loud with my words that, oh, I embrace all faiths, I embrace all paths. It doesn't matter. All paths lead to God. However, you know, the truth is that applied to all faiths, all paths, except for Christianity. And I used to live at this ashram. I used to talk to these people and have the meditations and the book studies with them, you know, throughout the whole week, every single week. And when I lived there for a whole, like almost year. I lived there twice. Each time was for about a year long, twice, okay? And so I had a lot of time meeting these people, and, you know, some people were Indian, some people were non-Indians, you know, not, you know, Caucasian, whatever, but they were all really into this yoga philosophy, lifestyle, And they really thought they could become superhuman through this integral yoga. That was the whole point of integral yoga, to become superhuman, to transmute your cells and blah 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 blah. And anytime the concept, anytime Christianity came into the conversation, oh my gosh, you should have just seen their faces. Like, all of a sudden this air of pride would come onto everyone's faces, and energy and body posture. Like, they would just be like, oh oh, those Christians, yeah, you know, they're kind of at a lower consciousness. You know, it's kind of like, you know, kindergarten when it comes to spirituality. Like, that's how they would talk. It's kind of like kindergarten in the world of spirituality. And because I was around that so much, I just kind of picked up on that, and I would just kind of go with that and look down on Christians too. Because the thing is, they say coexist, but they don't mean it. Just being honest, I was in that world, so I can say that. Okay, so let's see. I was demonically attacked at age 28, or sorry, 29. Yeah, 28 was when my mom passed away. 29, I moved back into the ashram, was given faith, you know, after I cried out to Jesus. Amazing, amazing. And then, oh man, I just was so tested. You know, I was demonically attacked a lot after I first came to Jesus. I had this really naive thought after becoming a Christian. I thought that my life would be easy. I don't know why. I just thought, okay, well, if I got Jesus to protect me, my life should be easy now. No, it actually got a lot harder. It got a lot harder before it got better. So yeah, I went through a lot of pain and stuff still. And that boyfriend that I had when I was living at the ashram, that didn't work out. He was very unhealthy, and I was very unhealthy, you know, so unhealthy people attract unhealthy people. And that, you know, so I moved on from that. And then the thing about Jesus coming into my life, I learned my value. I learned my value as a woman, as a person. Like, wow, Jesus died for me on the cross. Like, hello, like, of course I deserve an amazing husband. My God died for me on the cross. Like, he suffered. He suffered. I'm never going to tolerate abuse ever again from a man. So that's how, you know, my self-esteem, if you will, which really doesn't come from self, so I don't really like that word, but you know, the esteem that I had came from God, and that built up, you know, and I had this confidence, and I started to attract healthier and healthier people over time. And then, yeah, just a year later, at age 30, I got married. I love to call my husband my sloth. So I got married to my sloth. He's so, oh my gosh, I love him so much. He literally spoils me so much with love. Oh my gosh, I love him so much. And he makes me laugh hysterically. He pursues me. He's always thinking of me. And I'm so grateful for him. Like, he's like the complete opposite of anything I've had relationship wise. Like, all the ones I had before were like narcissistic jerks. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. But my husband, he's like a freaking angel. He's like a angel sloth. Okay. He's so sweet. I love him so much. And so now I'm 32. So from ages 30 to now, 30 to 32, I went through like the most intense healing period of my whole life. It was literally actually excruciating at times, but God put me through fire. Like, he put me through fire to purify me, to heal me, to like get rid of all the addictions and co-addictions I had. I didn't even know I had. I literally went through like 8 different 12-step groups, got into therapy, got into brain spotting, got into really intense therapy, you know, trauma therapy. I was like in meetings, right? 12-step meetings around the clock, on the phone, in person. Like, I did so much recovery work. It was insane. I was in so many churches, Bible studies, like just studying, just eating up the word of God, just, you know, fellowshipping with other strong Christian women, checking out on YouTube all these like amazing evangelists and listening to how bold they are for Christ. And that really rubbed off on me. But just immersing myself in deep recovery work, meaning like opening up my heart for God to come in and repair it, you know, do spiritual surgery on me. I went through a 9-hour deliverance, beautiful. Okay, I can make a whole video on that alone. It was crazy. Anyways, that's where I'm at now. So now I am literally living my dreams. I am doing my calling all the way. I am fulfilling my assignments. You know, the assignments God gave to me, and I couldn't be happier. Like, finally, like, it took me so long. Like, when I was in the new age world, that's all I wanted. All I wanted was to be happy, healthy, and free. That was my little slogan back then. You know, happy, healthy, and free with Bo Yi. But I didn't really have it. I was faking it, you know. I didn't really have it because it's impossible to have that without Jesus Christ. And that is the truth. And I know some people aren't ready to hear that, but hey, hopefully I'm planting seeds, and I plant them with love. I really plant them with love. The only reason why I'm choosing to share this so boldly, knowing that people would be in opposition to my views and my beliefs, I get it. I know that that's the case for a lot of people out there. That's okay, you know, but I would definitely, you know, be upset at myself if, like, I die tomorrow and I never get this video out. You know, like, this is like the most important thing I can talk about. You know, I used to think lemon enemas was the most important thing in the world. Like, that's nothing. That's nothing. I don't care if you do your lemon enemas or not. Like, you know, like, if there's a choice between salvation and your little, you know, your lemon enemas, salvation. This is a temporary physical life for each and every one of us. We don't know when our next moment is. The last days are coming. Okay, all of us, we're all gonna die anyways. So it's imperative that we get right with God now. Now. Like, right now. Like yesterday. You know what I mean? The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking, and there's nothing more important to get right with God, to have a relationship with God is what I mean, to have that personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Because when you have that relationship, when you have faith and you humble yourself and you confess your sins and let your guard down, let your pride down. That's all it is. The new age world and all these other different paths and all of this, or atheism and all. I used to be atheist. I was a hardcore atheist when I was a teenager. You know, these are all just fronts, facades. Pride is about, you know, elevating yourself before God, or, you know, or if it's atheist, then there is no God, right? But elevating yourself. It's all about self, indulging the flesh, indulging yourself. Okay, so we got to really become spiritually mature and ask for help, because we all need help. I need help. We all need help. And it's not a weakness. When we are weak, we can be strong in Jesus Christ. It's actually the most beautiful, like, it's the most beautiful oxymoronic concept in the world. It's amazing. It's so amazing. And don't be afraid to feel weak and you know, helpless and hopeless, because those are the moments you can be the strongest, because in those moments, that's when you realize you have to depend on God. And if you can just let your pride down for a moment, just a moment, and ask God to come into your heart, ask him to show him who he is to you, ask him for a relationship, yeah, and just, you know, you don't have to get it, you don't have to understand it immediately. It's a process. It takes time. You know, it's an ongoing process for your whole life, but that moment of having faith, that just takes an instant. That's it. You don't have to, like, read the whole Bible first and get understanding first and then have faith. That's an intellectual thing. That will come. That will come. The most important thing is to have faith first, and having faith takes a leap of faith. That's why they call it a leap of faith. Okay, so anyway, I hope that was helpful to you. I love you so much. If you have any questions on how to come to Jesus, you know, feel free to email me, boyi@ibelieveinloveagain.com. I'll link that below, boyi@ibelieveinloveagain.com, and I'll be happy to speak with you, answer your questions, or lead you to resources. You know, I don't have all the answers, but I can definitely at least help you get to some resources, or other people who might be able to help you as well. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. I love you so much. Please share this testimonial. Please share it all over the place, because I can't do this ministry by myself. Please share it, like it. And yeah, that's it. That's all I ask. I love you, and I will talk with you later. God bless you.